What's up, folks? It is Dr. Remy LeBeau, and I'm here to cure you of your terrible illness that you've been enduring this last lifetime um, by providing you with some X-Men statues to satisfy your addiction. I'm sorry that you had to deal with some withdrawal symptoms in the last, I don't know, however long it's been since you've seen one of my videos, but that ends now. I promise you. I'm in the X lair. I'm here to help you. Today I'm doing something interesting. I am once again highlighting Mr. Modern Cable here, but the purpose today is to find out what could you display Cable with, what other statues could you display Cable with to sort of, figure out, what works best as far as complementing him as a statue and what you could do with some other like modern looking statues. Obviously, ideally, I would have the Deadpool, the action Deadpool statue by Bowen Designs, but I don't have that one. So I thought I would throw in a few other modern statues alongside this sucker to see what could potentially work with him and what potentially may not work with him. And, just basically to give you an idea of what's the potential of him as far as displaying him with other statues. So let's start off with Mr. James Proudstar, aka Warpath, from Bowen Designs, the modern version that was recently released. Now you can see that both of these work actually really well together, and that is because they are sort of entwined as far as like the stories go, as far as the evolution of the characters. Like Cable brought together X-Force. James Proudstar Warpath was part of X-Force in the 90s, and since then, they've had a connection. I think Warpath has always sort of looked to Cable, for some sort of guidance or kind of like in a parental way. So together, it makes sense to put them together, and you can see here they're both sort of aggressive characters, and they work really well together. It makes sense that they would be standing together and just ready to kind of kick some butt. So, modern Warpath here, a fairly new statue, looks great with Mr. Cable here. So, you can position them in a variety of ways. If you'd like, if you don't. It's all good. All right. So another option, as far as Mr. Warpath goes, is to put the X Force version in. I don't have the Bowen X Force version, but I do have the Kotobukiya X Force version. So let's bring that one out. It is heavy. It is a heavy, very heavy statue, and bulky, super bulky. Okay, so there he is, Mr. Warpath. Let me move stuff slightly here. Try to get them a little bit closer together. Okay, so here's Warpath and here is Modern Cable. As you can see, they do work together as well. I mean, obviously the Kotobukiya Warpath is bigger than the Bowen Designs Warpath, but they both are Warpath. They both represent Warpath in different ways, but neither one is mutually exclusive of the other as far as one being Warpath, one not being Warpath. They're both Warpath. They're just different approaches to Warpath. This one is bulkier, and it still works with Cable. I think it still sort of can be positioned with him and work very nicely. So let's give these guys a twirl here. I mean, obviously the same thing applies to these as the last version of Warpath, in that they had this strong bond, but even further than that, because Warpath is in his X-Force uniform, it works even more because Cable is the progenitor of X-Force. He's the one that originally started X-Force, so it just makes sense to put them together. And I think this looks very nice, actually. It looks pretty cool. So I think it would work. It might even work as like a versus thing, but it doesn't make sense. But it might work. You know, like they're about to go at it. Hey, Warpath, you are really big and need to be taken down. Hey, Cable, you abandoned X-Force too many times for me to let you live. I know, they would probably be a little more enthusiastic about saying these things than I'm being, but anyway. That's to give you an idea of how Mr. Cable can work with Mr. Warpath. So let me get Warpath out of the way here. Oh man, this guy is heavy. But that's one of his best attributes, being heavy. All right, another very interesting and proper statue to put with Mr. Nathaniel Summers is his father, Cyclops, in his modern version, in his modern form. And in fact, Cyclops was wearing this costume when Cable was wearing this costume, so it works really well as far as just like making sense on a design level. So on a design level, it just makes sense to have these guys together. You know, father-sons are always a great combination as far as the display goes. Can't really get them closer together. Maybe I can. Let me see. So you can see, I mean, obviously Cable's a bigger dude, and he's actually elevated a little bit because of this rocky surface. But I don't know, it makes sense, and it works. It works very nicely. I think they complement each other nicely. So here is yet another option for you. And of course, you can always throw in Mr. Warpath, the Bowen Warpath as well. Maybe just turning this guy slightly this way, and then you can have like, you know, Warpath back there. Hey, don't forget about me. I'm willing to fight. I'm Warpath. They don't want me here. Alright, so there's that option. Then of course you can always throw in with these two modern Emma Frost. You know, she's the sweetheart of Cyclops during this period as well. So you can throw her in there, and so have them together and have Cable maybe on the side, or you can maybe have Cable on the other side and Cyclops in the middle. I mean, obviously a variety of things work, so those work as well. So obviously another great pairing, and oh boy, and of course ideal is to put Cable with a Wolverine, right? Because Wolverine and Cable, you know, they have this love-hate relationship going, but they're both like strong characters. They're both kind of powerhouses, and so a modern version of Wolverine, I think, works really well with Cable as well. So I think they display really nicely together. This is the only modern Wolverine I have. It's a custom job done by Mr. Chucho Rojas. It's one of these online sort of treasures that I found. There aren't many of them to go around. If you're lucky enough to find one, good for you. I've done a video on him and explained everything about him in there, and you can click on the link in the blog post to learn more about him. But as you can see, these work really well together. You know, they're both in, you know, like the previous characters that I've brought up here to sort of display Mr. Summers with. They're in the same era. They have the same sort of era costumes, so it makes sense. I'm pretty sure Bowen Designs is going to make a statue of Wolverine in this costume at some point coming up in the future, so look for that, and hopefully if you can't get this one, you can at least get that one, and then Mr. Nathan Christopher Summers will work really well with that version of Wolverine. But if you can get your hands on this one, you can see that this works really nicely together. These two work great. Of course, once again, you can throw James Warpath back there, and there you are. Got a nice little force to be reckoned with. These three guys ready to tear some butt up. They don't actually want me here. I'm sad. Totally not Warpath, right? Warpath is not a crybaby. Warpath is the kind of character that goes on a warpath and, you know, kicks some villain butt. Here's the X-Force Warpath. You can throw him in here as well, and you can see that works as well. So don't screw with us. We will destroy you. Yes, they will. They're very powerful mutants, all three of them. All three of them, very powerful. And finally, another statue I have to throw into the mix here, I'm running out of room, is, let me get you down there, I don't want to hurt you, is Mr. Kotobukiya Deadpool. Hey, since I don't have the Bowen Designs Deadpool, I thought I would bring in the Kotobukiya X-Force Deadpool, which I think works very nicely as well. You can see here, they're both kind of pointing guns in opposite directions, and it works. So if you can't get the Bowen one or you prefer the Kotobukiya one, Kotobukiya's Deadpool works really great with the modern action cable by Bowen Designs. Obviously, these two have a strong connection as well. They were both sort of designed by Rob Liefeld. I think Rob Liefeld designed Cable, but I know for sure he created Deadpool. So there's a strong connection there. They've always kind of been like, you know, weird adversaries just like them with Wolverine. So it just kind of makes sense to have them together. And you can see here, I actually think it works better than having Cable with the red Deadpool, because, you know, this is Deadpool in his X-Force colors. Cable is sort of like the heart of X-Force in my mind, even though he hasn't been in X-Force for a while. Well, up until recently, now he's in Cable and X-Force. But, you know, he did start X-Force and then was not part of like the new X-Force that Cyclops made and later became Uncanny X-Force. So, you know, there is some disparity as far as like how the two characters lie within like the X-Force moniker, but I think they work together really well, and because the colors are darker here and these colors are sort of depressed on Cable, they complement each other well. So I think it works really well. And you can throw in the Kotobukiya Warpath statue in there. Hey, don't forget me. Don't forget me, guys. What? You don't want to hang out with me? Alright, I'm just going to go knife someone else. I'm going to go elsewhere. Anyway, I'm going to stop being silly and just make the final point that Cable works really well with X-Force characters. Cable works really well with modern characters. And there's just a variety of ways to display him. But in the end, you do not need to display him with anyone because, as we all know, he's a very impressive piece and could be displayed all by himself in all his modern action glory, because he is just an awesome character and an awesome statue. Alright folks, that's the end of my little video on what you could potentially display modern action Cable with. I have plenty more stuff to come. As always, thank you for checking out my blog. My blog is X-Men Statues of Future Past.blogspot.com. My YouTube channel is Dr. Remy LeBeau's X-Lair. And as always, X in the box because ain't nobody checking me. I'll catch you all very soon. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.